Thursday, June 11th, and you're watching the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network, presented by our good friends over at FanDuel. I'm your host for today, Jay Scooper, alongside my producer for the next hour and a bit, Mike Bennett, working his way behind the boards. And my gosh, do we have a great show for you today. Batting leadoff, we got Gaffa coming on, and he's going to come on and break down the World Cup, because the World Cup is finally here. We've been waiting for weeks, for months, for years for this to happen in our own backyard. He's going to break down the Group A match day. Got 2 matches going on today. Plus, I'm going to ask him a little bit about some weekend bets, because I know you freaks want to bet on the weekend, but we won't have games there. We won't have a show there. So, of course, games are being played regardless of this show. So, I'm going to try and get you guys some action on the games over the weekend. After that, we got Noops coming on to recap what was maybe the craziest, the greatest NBA Finals game I've ever seen, maybe an NBA game I've ever seen. Just an absolutely insane comeback. There was at one point, just at the beginning of the third quarter, where I'm like, I'm kind of tired. I want to go to bed, but I was like, fine, I'll stick this through and watch the Spurs dominate and kick the Knicks' ass. Well, did that ever not happen? My goodness gracious me. And that gets me into today's show, and I want to lead with is I wanted to talk about World Cup today. It's like that felt like the most natural leadoff for the show, but no. The natural leadoff now is we need to start a GoFundMe and send De'Aaron Fox and Mitch Johnson to the goddamn gulag, because what the hell are those guys doing? De'Aaron Fox, someone on Twitter put together a lowlight reel of De'Aaron Fox messing everything up in the third and fourth quarter, and of course, when you do stuff like that, you're highlighting a player's mistakes. It's very easy to get caught up in that. But like, this thing happened, the amount of mistakes this guy made in like the most important pivotal parts of the game, when your team is up by so much, and just mistake after mistake after mistake. And he's supposed to be the veteran. You're 28 years old. You're supposed to be the veteran on this team. You're supposed to be the guy to be the rock for this team. And De'Aaron Fox, my goodness, he was just objectively terrible. And that doesn't just fall on De'Aaron Fox, because part of a coach's role is to sort of settle your team down. Focus up. You're up almost 30 damn points. Your lead is slipping. How does Mitch Johnson, he's seen this happen in 2 other games in this series, almost every single game in this series, where this team is up and they lose or almost lose. Like, this is like, I don't understand what Mitch Johnson was doing. I don't understand what De'Aaron Fox is doing. You could highlight that play at the end of the game where De'Aaron Fox ran up the court on a rebound and was alone, and OG Anunoby blocked him, or was a foul, whatever you want to call it. De'Aaron Fox could have done so many different things. Well, heck, Mitch Johnson could have also just called a timeout. Maybe that's a crazy thing to say, because like, why would you call a timeout? De'Aaron Fox is obviously an idiot. That's why you call a timeout in that scenario. There's so many things you could have done. It's just like, send those guys directly to the gulag. And my understanding is Mitch Johnson's a good coach. I'm not like, maybe he's good tactically, but like as a leader, like as a voice to like sort of steady the ship and navigate his way through this storm, he did a terrible job, and that falls on him. I want TQ. I see that. I'm kicking myself. Last night it was like, you could find it at like plus 600, plus 500 post game. It's all the way down to plus 250 right now. I'm going to talk about that with Noops. OG for MVP. My God, that guy's a stud. We'll talk about that with Noops. But before we get into the NBA, we got World Cup action. Best way to bet the World Cup is only on FanDuel. The Hammer Daily is brought to you by FanDuel. It all comes down to this. Who do you think will be wearing the ring at the end of the NBA? Oh, do I have the wrong ad read?
Yes.
I think I might have the wrong ad read. My apologies there. There we go. We got the World Cup one. USA fans, this one's for you. FanDuel is dropping a massive USA Super Boost for the matchup against Paraguay. Right now, all customers can win up to $25 if the USA has one shot. Yes, that's not a typo. Just one shot to get it done. That's one of our biggest boosts yet, and all you need is one moment from the USA to cash in. So whether it comes early or late, from outside the box or right in front of goal, every attack is going to feel a little bit bigger. Well, I've already said how I feel about this US team. Be careful when you're betting this, because this team stinks. No, I'm kidding. This is obviously a very great boost from FanDuel. You're going to want to take it and get that $25 into your account. But I think USA might get bounced. And I know we have a majority American chatters here, but I'll play the heel on this one. Back the USA and get in on this huge super boost before kickoff. Visit FanDuel.com/forward progress to get started. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas affiliates, Kansas are 18 plus or present in DC, Kentucky, Wyoming. Opt-in required. Must wager in designated offer market. Max wager amount of $25. Restriction applies. See full terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 1-800-MY-RESET. Call 1-888-789-7777. Visit ccpg.org/John, Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 1-800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts. Call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY. Text HOPE-NY in New York. Call 1-877-770-7867 in Louisiana. All right. TQ saying he's still not convinced Spurs don't win the series. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. It's crazy. Anyways, let's get into today's show. Our first guest, he's a soccer expert who breaks down the beautiful game so eloquently on his Twitter previews. You saw him on here for the World Cup betting extravaganza, which, by the way, if you haven't checked out, you have a couple hours to do so before the first game. Our first guest, Gaffa, a.k.a. Touched in the Box. Gaffa, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. I'm excited to get into today's show. And listen, I'm known for getting in the weeds a little bit here when it comes to sports and new rules. And that's kind of where I want to start because we've seen some new rules come out from FIFA here. There's the red cards for covering your mouth while confronting a player, 10-second substitution window, 5-second restart countdowns, VAR for reviewing incorrectly awarded corners or mistaken identity on cards. Which of these, if any of them, do you think will actually change how teams play? And which do you think might cause the most controversy, if at all?
Yeah, I think the biggest one is definitely the 5-second restart countdown. Just the fact is, if you're holding onto the ball too long as a goalkeeper, or if you're taking too long on a throw-in, you then either cede a corner kick in the case of the goalkeeper, or on the throw-in, it flips possession, so the opposing team gets the throw-in. And I think certainly with corner kicks, that's always a mechanism for scoring a goal and creating a chance. So I think that could really harm some of the teams that, in previous tournaments would have been able to waste a little bit of extra time and kill a few more seconds. But even this season, the last one or two seasons in the club game, we've seen the return of the long throw-in. And there are definitely teams that have an advantage in terms of players that can launch the ball into the box from a throw-in. And some of these guys are chucking the ball so far that it almost becomes a corner kick in some cases. Like you look at guys like Michael Coyote at Brentford, like there are players that can turn a throw in deep in opposition territory into a legitimate chance creation opportunity. So I think that one's pretty big because it's not just that you can't waste time, it's that you're now giving the opponent a chance to score. And the other rules I think are a little bit more straightforward. I think less controversial. Like I don't have any problem with them, now allowing for the mistaken identity thing. So if you give a card to the wrong player, you can reverse that. I think that makes total sense. I like the fact that they can now review incorrectly awarded second yellow cards, which previously they were only reviewing direct reds, but of course a second yellow results in a red card. So being able to check for those as well and just prevent a few games from going down to 11 versus 10 when they shouldn't, which can really kill the spectacle sometimes, I think is useful. The corner kick one is the one I feel like could end up being a little bit controversial just because I think the way they're instilling it is they kind of have to review it quickly enough to influence the decision. So I'm sure we'll see some teams, if it's even like touch and go as to who it came off of, they'll rush the corner kick, right? And then you'll end up with some level of, well, why are they intervening on certain ones and not other ones? And I don't know, I could see that getting a little bit weird. And then I guess the other two, the 10-second substitution rule, I feel like that one, there's just some players who have that muscle memory and that might be hard for them to shake. That will probably create one or two moments, but I don't think the penalty for it is that terrible. I believe it's you have to prevent the sub for a minute.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I think you can come back on the next whistle for the 10-second substitution.
Exactly.
For the injury, if you take too long on injury, whichever one that one is, you can come back on after 60 seconds. No need for a whistle. But yeah, the whistle might be an issue for the 10-second substitution. That sort of gets into my next question here, where I feel like we might see the 10-second substitution come into play because the heat is obviously going to be crazy, as we've been talking about all leading up to the World Cup here. Super hot. They've now have mandatory hydration breaks, which is another thing I want to ask you about. But yeah, so with the mandatory hydration breaks, do you think that's going to affect this? How do you think it's going to affect the game, number one? Number two, With it being so hot, do you think we're going to see more players just sort of mosey their way on off, forget about the 10-second sub rule, and teams get burned by it early on in the tournament?
I think it's possible. I mean, I think the mandatory hydration breaks and the fact that they're at these very pre-planned intervals, it almost breaks it into a little bit of game of 4 quarters as opposed to 2 halves, right? And of course, there's much more time at halftime, but there is, I think, a bit of an element where the more tactically nuanced coaches in this tournament, the teams with bigger coaching staffs and more analytically forward-thinking teams could stand to benefit from that. I could see a world where some teams sort of treat it as like, this first segment of play, we will press like crazy, invest more energy into that phase of play and then kind of take it easier after halftime. I could see some games being a little bit cagier, and then at the hydration break, there's a chance to kind of reassess tactically and make adjustments, of course. But I think it is hard to say. And at the same time, I would say there's probably only so much you can do in 3 minutes.
Yeah.
So I would imagine it kind of opens the door to planning ahead of the match more effectively, and then kind of having a few plan A, plan B, plan C type of options, depending on how the game is shaking out, the game state, et cetera, at those hydration breaks.
Yeah, there's like an upside to this and downside. Obviously, you don't want to get like too as a team, you don't want to like focus too much on this stuff because you only have so much amount of time in practice to instill tactics. Having to instill plan A, plan B, plan C for like 4 quarters might be too much, but at the same time, on the other token, if you're able to do it properly, it could be an edge for some of these teams that are more tactically sound. I feel like I'm too in the weeds here, but I feel like the best way to take advantage of this is to just watch the games live, where it's like sometimes watching the games doesn't really do much from a betting perspective, but I feel like you'll be able to pick up on a lot of stuff right after that hydration break within the next 5 minutes, 2 minutes that some books might not be able to pick up. Are you going to be looking to attack stuff live at all? I don't really know if you bet live on these games here, Gaffa, but is that something you're looking for?
Yeah, I think it certainly opens up more of an opportunity, right? Like, especially for those that are more casual viewers, I think a break in play is definitely something where you just then have that second segment where you can kind of notice those changes a little bit more versus when it's just 90 minutes of continuous play. I think the tactical nuance kind of is harder to spot at times, but there's shifts happening all throughout the game. I would imagine the weather plays a big role in terms of some teams will just tire, right? Same with the altitude. So I think second halves in particular, there's a lot that can happen. And I think in tournament football, what can often happen is you just start a little bit cagier, and then as things go on, both in individual matches, but also just as the tournament and the group stage progress, the risk kind of makes it worth playing a little bit more openly. So I think games in the tournament will continue to trend like that as well. So there will certainly be some live opportunities. Some of these teams don't really have the level of squad depth as others, and so they may be relying on the same 11 to 15 players, whereas some teams are just stacked from top to bottom, could have 2 teams that can contend, and that opens the door to a lot more as far as substitution windows and just ways of changing things up for the more astute managers.
All right, let's get into the first game we have for today, Mexico and South Africa. Mexico playing at home to open up the World Cup in Estadio Azteca, a repeat match of what we saw in the South African World Cup where the 2 teams played each other, ended as a 1-1 draw. How are you weighing this home advantage for Mexico? We know that Mexico travels really well. Do you think that this home advantage is a bump to them, or do you think this might be some added pressure with how they exited the tournament in Qatar?
I think there is added pressure, but against this type of an opponent, I think it stands for them to benefit far more than the potential downside. Like Estadio Azteca is a genuine home advantage. It's not just the fact that they play in altitude there, which is tough for opposing teams. It's just the environment, the atmosphere there. It's one of the stronger, I think, home advantages, without a doubt, in North America, but really, I think, in world play overall. So South Africa, I know that they have been training in Pachuca, which is actually higher elevation, but they did have some delayed travel with visa issues, and I don't think they're really fully acclimatized here. And yeah, I think there's pressure and expectancy for Mexico just from the home supporters, but I think this is a type of opponent where they will have enough just territorial dominance, and they have the better players, and it's hard to see them, really ending up in a situation where the crowd would turn on them altogether. I think would need a couple bad performances to get to that level. Right now, I think there's just so much expectation and hope around this team that the home advantage will be a big help, and they are very, very strong historically in competitive games at the Azteca.
Yeah, and that's reflected in the line right now. Three-way money line on this match. Mexico minus 260. The tie is plus 360. South Africa to win plus 750 here. What's your read on this game? The total right now is under around 2.5, depending on where you look on FanDuel. It's 2.5 minus 144 towards the under. Is this going to be sort of a low-scoring Mexico win? The implied 2-0 victory for Mexico here. Do you think South Africa can make this uncomfortable for Mexico?
Yeah, I definitely lean towards it being a little bit more of a lower scoring Mexican win. That being said, I don't think South Africa are necessarily the type of team that are going to come to this tournament and just look to defend for 90 minutes in 3 matches. This is a side that has a lot of players playing domestic football in South Africa, and really a lot of the squad comes from the 2 sort of powerhouse teams in that league. And those are players that are used to kind of getting the ball on the floor, being direct, being attacking, playing even in a possession style at times. And there's a lot of sort of flair within those 2 teams. And they're not going to be able to translate that at this level just because there's a talent disparity. And I would imagine Mexico has, 60% of the ball here. But I don't think South Africa will just defend and look to do nothing else. Like they will try and play out of the back at times. They will look to get the ball on the floor. I think it's just more a case of Mexico playing in sort of a controlled, sensible way. They know they'll have the ball. They know they'll create chances. They'll be able to create overloads. And in that regard, I see something like a 1-0 or 2-0 type of win as more likely than something like a 3-1. But South Africa will look for some moments on the break. It's not going to be through much sustained possession. I don't think they'll try and find players in transition. But yeah. I see this as a lower scoring, sensible, I'll call it, Mexican win.
Yeah, maybe Lyle Foster can create some havoc, though, there for South Africa. Who knows? We'll see. Games at 3 p.m. Super looking forward to this. Raul Jimenez is a name that everyone keeps sort of looking at in terms of the prop market. Plus 140 to score a goal for Mexico. I came on the show yesterday and gave out Julian Quinones. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name correctly. To score a goal, plus 190. I put together like an awful Claude model just for fun to try and see if we can get some good goal scoring props here. Any opinion on any Mexican attacking player to watch tonight in terms of goal scoring or any other props you've been looking at?
Yeah, I do like Quinones. He had a pretty unreal season in the Saudi Pro League. I think he scored over a goal per game as far as goals and appearances, which is really phenomenal. So I think he can certainly be a threat here. Jimenez, of course, is sort of the centerpiece, and I believe he has a chance to break the all-time Mexican goal scoring record. I don't know if he'll get there at this tournament, but it's not outside the realms of possibility. I think the other player maybe to take a look at, we'll see what the starting lineup looks like, but I think Brian Gutierrez will start. He's someone who played through, I suppose, the youth national setup in the United States and then transferred over to Mexico recently. He's someone who MLS fans will be familiar with, played for Chicago Fire. He's now at Chivas USA. But he's having a pretty good season there. He's a very sort of forward-thinking, attacking midfielder who kind of makes runs forward. He's played on the wings at times, but he's someone who can definitely create problems and just kind of create moments in a game. And no stranger to getting shots off. Very high shot volume. Wouldn't totally surprise me if he came up with a goal. And again, I think he's expected to start. I didn't see him in the FanDuel player props, but he's someone maybe to keep an eye out on. I think again with Mexico just likely scoring a goal or two here, I think Gutierrez could be part of that.
Yeah, no, it's a great. Yeah, I don't see him listed here on FanDuel, but it looks like just some projections out there. It seems like he might be starting. Keep an eye. I'm sure those props will pop up closer to the game. Is there a number you'd like? It's kind of hard to come up with a number on the spot here. I don't know if you've made a number beforehand, but is there a number that you wouldn't bet at? Let's say if it's minus 200, is that not good enough for you, or you would potentially click at minus 200? Or sorry, plus 200. Sorry.
I was about to say, I definitely wouldn't at minus 200. I think probably looking at maybe something like plus 350-ish,
Okay.
plus 400. He's playing as like a center midfielder. I don't know if he'll necessarily get 90 minutes here either. Again, might not even start. So just that, considering it's not a game I'm seeing a ton of goals in necessarily. So
yeah.
Not a huge play, but just someone to keep an eye out for. And again, I think for some of the North American audience, I know MLS fans will know the name.
All right, yeah. He's listed elsewhere like around the 340-ish range. And,
Okay.
if you can find that, again, if you can find these numbers similar on FanDuel, he's going to start. You have this FanDuel Super Sub, which is automatically applied to your bet, where if your player gets subbed off, and the player that comes in still has a chance to win your prop for you. So it's very interesting. I'm trying to like napkin math in my head, how I can like come up with an under team total under 1.5 goals and 2 players to score. Could be it's my goal for the tournament here. I know it's a little crazy, but should be a little fun. Let's flip over and talk South Korea and Czechia. Czechia have been at the World Cup since 2006. They get here in pretty fantastic fashion. 2 penalty shootouts in their playoffs. What do you make of this opener here for Czechia? And do you feel like this 20-year absence is going to show against the South Korean side?
I think it definitely could. I mean, there are some players here in Czechia who have major tournament experience as far as the Euros go. So it's not like they've been entirely off the world stage. But yeah, as far as the World Cup goes, it's been a while, and there will be question marks around the experience. The manager has never coached at a major tournament, as far as I'm aware. He's had a long career in the club game, but so experience in terms of having managed different teams. But the World Cup is a very different stage. So I could see that playing a role. Yeah.
All right. Next thing I want to get to is the Korean side. Heung-min Son is the best player for Korea. It's probably his last World Cup here, 34 years old. The team runs through him. Do you think that makes them as a team predictable or dangerous?
It's a good question. I would say it definitely adds an element of predictability. Like the South Korean attack is sort of concentrated across a few players in the front line. That being said, Son has been in pretty poor form for LAFC, and he's still the talisman for Korea. But I wouldn't be surprised if this was a tournament where the likes of Kang and Lee kind of became a little bit more of that centerpiece, sort of transition out for Son and in for Lee. He plays at PSG, doesn't regularly start, but is a pretty high quality player. And then they have a couple other options playing elsewhere across Europe that are pretty decent options as far as forward positions go and attacking midfielders. So I think they have a little bit more flexibility in terms of who can create and who can score goals. But yeah, much of the play does still run through Son, and he's really the face of the team as far as the country itself goes. And I think if Korea are going to do anything in this tournament, Son does need to step up and kind of deliver better form than he has for LAFC.
Yeah, will be something to keep an eye on storyline throughout the tournament for this Group A. This matchup, though, South Korea versus Czechia, almost a coin flip on the tie no bet. Minus 130 for South Korea, Czechia plus 100. The draw is plus 200 on the 3-way money line. Korea plus 160, Czechia plus 195. How do you see this game going?
Yeah, I think it's a fascinating matchup. This group in general is really interesting because you have 4 teams from all corners of the world and just very different sort of styles of play and football cultures. And this is an example of that. You have Czechia as a very physical team, not necessarily fast or pacey or anything like that, but big, intimidating, aerially strong. And then you have Korea, who are more of the hardworking ilk, very technical. I think they'll look to control the game here where possible. This is being played in altitude, and I think Korea did a better job in terms of the buildup as far as acclimatization goes. They trained in Utah for 3 weeks and I think Salt Lake City, whereas Czechia have been based in Texas and have been doing more like a heat training type of thing, I suppose. So I think you give a little bit of an edge to Korea there, but I could see this being a game where they just have a lot of very sterile possession. I think Czechia will look to defend pretty deep. They're going to concede possession. So it's one of those games where I'd imagine South Korea will have a lot of the ball. They're going to try and look for some moments, but I just have doubts about their ability to repeatedly create meaningful chances here. And then on the flip side, I think Czechia are, they have two very good players up front in Pavel Solch and Patrick Schick, who can cause a lot of problems. And at the same time, there's going to be limited opportunity for them to get forward and really have sustained segments of play with the ball. So interesting game here. Like I said, two very different styles. I think the fact, with the group permutations and everything like that, this is one that to me sets up to play out pretty cagey. I think it's going to be slow start. I don't think either side would be too disappointed with a point. And honestly, out of the three options, I lean most to the draw here. I think something like a 0-0 or 1-1 as as sad as that is to say, I think those are totally in play here. I wouldn't be surprised if this match kind of failed to deliver.
Yeah, no, it's a great point here to start off the tournament. I know I understand that the third place team has a really high likelihood of making it, and teams might not want to avoid that third place spot, but breaking out of the tournament at the start, it sounds like we're going to see a lot of cagey play here, like you mentioned. Potential to see plenty of draws in these first round of group stage matches here. Any props you're looking at, or you want to just skip over and talk games for the weekend?
One I don't hate is Ladislav Krejci to have a shot on target. I think it's north of plus 200. He's a captain for the Czech side. He's a pretty intimidating center back. Again, I think Czechia are going to look to create most of their chances through set pieces, and they should have an aerial advantage. He, at least in the sample of matches I looked for at the national team level, just kind of comparable opposition to the level of South Korea. This price would definitely be value on shot on target. So I think look for that north of plus 200. I think that's decent. Yeah,
plus 220 on FanDuel. There's plus 350s out there, but again, question mark if you can actually get more than $1 on some of these, depending on where you're betting it.
Yeah. These soccer markets are all over the place, so it's hard to find kind of uniform pricing on some of the more niche stuff anyways.
Yeah, but the books that seem to be reputable and will actually be willing to take some action, like FanDuel plus 220 seems to be the better of the prices there. All right, before you head out here, the freaks in the chat love betting on sports, and we don't have a show on Saturday or Sunday, so if you can do us a huge favor here, share any picks you like or you're willing to share without giving away your edge here for a Saturday or Sunday game. Any game that you have circled. It could be a prop, it could be a side, total, whatever you want it to be. Anything you like on this weekend slate.
Yeah, I like both games in Group C, actually. I think Scotland to win and over 1.5 goals in the match. I think you can get that around minus 120, minus 125-ish, I believe was on FanDuel. I think that's fine. Scotland need to win that match against Haiti. I think they're the better team. Haiti are not a side that just blindly fade necessarily. I think they have a little bit of quality in attack. It wouldn't shock me if they scored a goal themselves, but they just concede chances for fun against teams that are decent. And Scotland, with their first 11, I think do actually have a pretty decent team. And again, this is a match that they've had circled for months. I would imagine this is the one they need 3 points in to get out of this group. So I like that angle. And then Brazil, Morocco, both teams to score. I don't hate that one. I will be waiting for lineups there, but I think on paper that one sets up as one where there's of course a lot of attacking quality, and then probably more so than there is defensive quality. And depending on a couple lineup decisions, I think that one could set up to be reasonably open, and there is some incentive for winning this group. So I think there will be at least some phases of this game where it opens up a little bit. And I've watched Morocco and Brazil recently across friendlies. They've definitely looked leaky at times. And then the final one, I think Sweden, Tunisia is on Sunday. Sweden are close to evens, maybe minus 110 for that one. I'm just not high on this Tunisia team whatsoever. I think Sweden are a little bit of a who knows what'll happen type of team, but I give them some chance of having a decent tournament now with Graham Potter in charge. He just has a connection to Swedish football that I think can kind of get this team together. They have two hugely talented attackers in Gyökeres and Isak, and I just think that's one that they need to win as well as far as the second, third place type of permutations go. And I think they can do it, and it's a friendly enough price.
All right. The Sweden -110. Both teams to score for Brazil, Morocco -106, and Scotland. That was Scotland to win at minus. What was the Scotland one? Apologies.
Scotland to win and over 1.5 goals in the match. So just Scotland to win, but not 1-0.
Okay, got it. All right. Gaffa, appreciate you joining the show here. You can follow Gaffa on Twitter at touchesinthebox. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll chat soon, Gaffa.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Great stuff there. A reminder, follow him on Twitter at touchesinthebox. Great soccer previews and breakdowns over on his Twitter. Great analysis there. You're going to want to give him a follow. Make sure you do that. Link is in the description. Link is in the chat. Or again, you can search Touches in the Box. All right. We're going to stick with the World Cup for just a couple more minutes here because we have a little bit of a competition going down here at the Hammer. And let me set the stage for you. There is 8 of us. It is myself, Alex, George, Jacob, Goon, Kanish, Pizzola, and TA. We're going to be going head to head and be giving out picks every single day here on the show. Just a simple handicapping contest to try and see who is the best World Cup bettor of the 8 of us. Now, the rules are, if it's minus money, it's to win 1 unit. If it's plus money, it's 1 unit to win, 1 unit to bet. And so with my pick here, I feel like there's only one way to attack this sort of handicapping style. You want to go out on a limb early, you want to attack early, and you want to start here with an early lead. So my pick, I found it on FanDuel. We are taking South Africa under a half goal in the first half, -460. We're going to chalk up the W already. Let's bring up the daily picks to see what everyone else here is betting on. We got Rob betting on South Korea, Czechia, over 3.5 total goals, plus 340. Based on what Gaffa said, that might be a bit of an issue here for Rob. Alex trying to go like a little bit easy with South Africa under 3.5 corners, -166. I don't know if I like that one there. George going Mexico money line, -240. Goon taking the draw, no bet for Czechia at +100. Jacob with the +320. Eric Lira to be booked. Couldn't even point out Eric Lira on the field. TA is going to take South Korea and Czechia at +200. And Kanish is also going to take the South Korea-Czechia draw at +200. You guys let me know who you think is going to come out with a win and come out with a lost day, and who you think has the best strategy here. We got a couple guys going +340, +320, and Jacob and Rob. And then you got me on the other end, taking a Fosen style bet at -460. Now, listen, I wanted to take the under 1.5 first half goals for South Korea, but they didn't let me take the -1200. The rules are it cannot be greater than -500, which kind of bothers me a little bit. But anyways, that's what we're going with here. Maybe later on in the tournament we'll start using goals. What's up, Mike?
I was going to say, excuse me, don't forget that the picks have to be in by 11 a.m. to me, so the lines might move when you're seeing this.
Yes, the lines could be different than what they're posted here. That's a great little addition. Of course, we have to create the graphics beforehand.
Yes.
So I don't know if anyone did anyone get negative CLV? Can I make fun of anyone here?
You can make fun of anyone who did. Yes, there was conversations in our chat earlier about like saying how games start at 12, and George was just saying like, oh, even if they get their picks, and you can still make fun of them as the game's happening, like in the future.
But no CLV on any of these you've seen, eh?
No, not yet. No.
All right, no negative, no positive CLV. Well, I feel like I think I got the best one there. -460. We're +100 units already. Solid stuff there for me. All right. Let's get into
who do you think's gonna win aside from you, bias?
What do you mean?
Actually, since I'm not in it, I'm gonna pick a winner and just go out. Honestly, I think Jay, you're gonna start strong with this -460 stuff. I'm gonna put my money on Goon to win it all here by the end of it.
Hold on. Alex is saying I got negative CLV. That can't be right.
Now -450.
What the heck is that? I think someone is out there moving these markets against me, because when I submitted my pick, at 11, I saw a market move in my favor. So I don't know who's fading this here. Maybe that's why. But yeah. No, I don't. Steven in the chat, do you have the cajones to bet Quinones? Here's the thing. I bet it myself on my own apps, but for this contest, I need to beat these guys. I got TA in my ear yapping about how great of a soccer bettor he is. I got Knish in my ear yapping about how great of a soccer bettor he is. Moretto thinks he's like an expert, giving out Rorts left, right, and center. I got to let these guys know who the boss is. I'm the one who knocks here. I'm the one who knocks. Anyways, I think I have the best chance here to win. So you think who did you mention? You said
I said Goon's probably going to come out on top. But it's funny because in our chat all week, Moretto was like, "Yeah, I'm big on Mexico. I'm big on Mexico." George is like, at 9:30. George was like, "Mexico money line, please." He just snaked the pick from him.
Oh, George. I think who's most live to be last year? If I had to pick, it'd be one of Jacob
or Rob.
G-Stack, Knish, or TA.
That's like half the pool, bro.
Yeah, those are the four I think have the best shot to finish last year. I think Jacob, bold strategy caught in here, taking the to be booked market. Jacob's gonna be using his knowledge for this one, and I respect his soccer knowledge, but like my approach was just simple, top-down betting. George saying me stealing from Alex is preposterous. Well, I don't know about this one.
I don't know, but Rob might be in piss early because, I don't know, over 3.5 total goals, and Gaffa was like, yeah, I like the under here, whatever. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. Excited to do this contest. We're doing it every single day here on the Hammer. Giovanni's saying it's me, bro. Well, this is the best part about it. You can fade. You can click and fade me if you want. You can get not as good price because I got negative CLV, so apologies to you. But you can click and fade me if you want. But we're gonna be running this throughout every single day of the tournament, Monday to Friday. Picks released live on the show. Remember, the picks are submitted at 11 o'clock, so there might be some line movement when it comes to this stuff. So odds are obviously subject to change. We're not miracle workers here. We can't update this stuff live. Anyways, let's get into our next guest, our last guest here on the show. I'm excited to talk to him about some NBA finals. We just saw maybe what was, if not the best, if not the best NBA finals matches in history, definitely in my lifetime. He's an NBA bettor, tennis bettor, an NFL first touchdown bettor, plus an analyst over at BetUS and a contributor over at FTN Fantasy. Noops Christensen. Noops, how's it going?
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, Jason. That was an incredible basketball game last night. And then we get the World Cup starting today. It's all coming together, baby.
All right. I asked you about the World Cup, and you said, I'm going to be watching, but I have no freaking clue. I know you're based in the U.S. You're definitely going to be rooting for the U.S., but I see Christensen. I'm seeing some Nordic roots here. Is there a second rooting interest for you in the tournament?
Well, actually, it is a second rooting interest based on, my background, but it is not Norway, Jason. Okay. It may surprise you to know this, but I'm half Italian. John Nazario met Genevieve Sala in South Philadelphia. They got married, and their first child was my mom, Susan Nazario. So I generally try to cheer for Italy, but as you may have noticed, Jason, it's been, 16 years since I've been able to do that?
Long. As someone who is also half Italian, it's been a long time as well for me.
Yeah, it's not great.
Not great. That's all right. We'll get him in the next one. I just, we don't have to talk about the Italy struggle in the World Cup here because I feel like I've just been beaten over my head with it. Goon's been, bugging me about it. Anyways, let's get into the NBA.
It happens.
Let's talk about the NBA. We live a tough life here. Sixers, Italy fan, Leafs, Italy fan. It's just like I see the Knicks and I'm getting a little jealous here. I'm not gonna lie.
Maybe there's something wrong with us, Jason. Maybe we're broken.
I think we're broken. I think it's our fault that our teams continue to lose. Maybe we have to jump on the bandwagon here. But let's talk about what was, again, like you mentioned, one of the greatest NBA finals I've ever watched, at least last night. Pure craziness. What was it like watching that game live? What was your perspective? Do you have any feeling that the Knicks had a chance to come back here? And how crazy was that last 4-minute stretch with Spurs just hucking up and missing shots? The Knicks' miraculous comeback. Just break it all down, that last game for us here.
Just an absolutely wild game. It starts off, the Spurs win the first quarter by 19. And I was like, all right, let's see what the Knicks do. Come out in the second quarter. They've been a solid second quarter team in the series throughout the season. And still, the Spurs are able to continue to stretch that out. And again, we get to halftime with that big, I think it was a 29-point lead at halftime, somewhere in that range, like maybe 27 at half, and it got up to 29. But then it's kind of what we've seen in this series and what we've seen in the playoffs time and time again. the biggest advantage the Knicks have is the Knicks always know what they're doing on offense. They always know. We're going to start with Brunson. If he can't do it, we'll get the ball to Cat. If he can't do it, let's try to find Anunoby. Let's try to find Bridges. Where the Spurs team, you watch kind of down the end of the game, a lot of threes, and threes are good shots, but maybe not from some of your bigger players. A lot of the ball kind of moving passively around the perimeter without as much attacking, without as much design. And as much as Spurs fans have to be really angry at De'Aaron Fox, who absolutely should have dribbled the clock out instead of trying to shoot that layup, where's Mitch Johnson? He had 2 timeouts here. At no point during this run in the fourth quarter does he call a timeout to just kind of quiet the crowd, to get the Spurs into a play to really set it up. And we've seen him be able to do that. I mean, although the final play didn't work because Towns was able to tip that ball in the inbounds pass, the play worked. If you look at that, Castle is rolling to the basket unguarded. That should be an alley-oop. Whether he dunks that or catches it and lays it in, that should be the game, honestly. And it's just kind of not how it goes. So it's just this a cacophony of failure. I don't know how else to describe it. Just so many little things that the Spurs did wrong. And I guess that's how you blow a 29-point lead. It doesn't happen all at once. It's just little thing after little thing after little thing. And this Spurs team has had a chance to win all 4 of these games, has only been able to win 1. Again, we'll see. It's not impossible for them to win 3 in a row. Again, they go home. I think they can win this game at home. They probably will win this game at home. And if they do, now we're back in Madison Square Garden. There's going to be a lot of energy in that arena, but also a lot of anxiety. And if you can win that game, now all of a sudden we're back in San Antonio, game 7, a lot of conversation about how the Knicks have blown this 3-1 lead, etc. But it does feel like the Knicks are just a little more ready for this big moment, a little more ready to continue to play their game, to stay even when the temperature changes.
Yeah, you got to also think that if Pop is the head coach here for the Spurs, that this series is done and over with, and the Spurs sweep, and we got different headlines going on here. It just feels like Mitch Johnson hasn't, I don't want to say fostered the right environment, but a lot falls on his shoulder here, I think, like you mentioned, because he's just not steadying the ship. Like, that is your job as the head coach, as much as it is tactically finding the right coming up with the right way to tactically play basketball. It's also just like being a voice of reason for such a young team, and it's just been frustrating to see. And I've been saying this all series. It's like Victor Wembanyama really ruined all of our OKC futures.
I've heard you say that. It makes me so sad, but it's a brilliant point. And like you said, it's not even just last game. Everyone remembers Wembanyama throwing it off Castle's back. Why does he have the ball? Why isn't there a timeout called there to set up a play? It seems mind-numbing. And again, young coach, young team. Maybe this is kind of what we've all been saying. They need kind of a year to get through this. Wembanyama definitely looks like this was a lot more effort than he expected it to be. So again, I still think the Spurs can win. They're almost certainly not going to win, though. I think the Knicks either wrap this up here in game 5. I still think they win in game 6, but we'll see what San Antonio can do. Again, they've had a chance to win all 4 of these games.
Yeah, and it seems like pretty simple. If you like the Spurs still in the series, which I don't know why you would do that, you'd probably want to bet Wemby MVP, who's just like a couple cents better than the Spurs price. I don't think there's any chance with just Wemby is clear cut the guy. Even though Dylan Harper has played pretty well in the series, it's going to be him. If you want the Spurs to win, might be a better place to look is MVP race. Well, I want to talk about the MVP race for the Knicks here, because I think there's some real life in OG Anunoby to win the award, and we saw that reflected post game. Some spots I saw him at like around plus 600. Right now on FanDuel, he's plus 250 to win, and I am kicking myself for not clicking that plus 600 number. I think he's sort of been like a real engine for this team with his ability on both sides of the ball. Had an absolute incredible game last night, 33 points, scored the game-winning shot, blocked De'Aaron Fox, which might have been a foul at the end of the game. Do you think Brunson has a better chance to win because he has so much fanfare? But is OG the right pick here as of right now to win MVP? Talk me through who you think, one, should win MVP, and two, who you would bet on.
It's a tough discussion because Brunson has not had a spectacular series statistically. He's scoring points in bunches, but if you look at his efficiency, he's really struggling. But the work he is doing on offense at the end of these games, the amount of attention that he's drawing, the way that he is allowing everyone else to kind of have space and kind of get what they can, I think Brunson is the MVP for the Knicks. I really do. Towns has been fantastic. Anunoby has been fantastic, but none of this works without Brunson. It really doesn't. And the fact that he has been able to, again, play such high minutes, have such high usage, and not really, outside of, I think it was game 2 where they got him into foul trouble early, he really hasn't been played off the floor defensively. Now, the tough part is the way this voting goes. And just to remind everybody, the NBA Finals MVP is voted on. I think they have like a dozen voters who attend the game. And basically, once the game ends, they have about 30 minutes to vote for the NBA Finals MVP. So think about that. Think about that moment. You're at the end of the game. You've got 30 minutes. Are you remembering the whole series? Are you remembering all that stuff, or kind of what you just saw? And I think I'm kind of getting after is, if one of these games finishes where, once again, Anunoby not only makes the winning shot, a block, and then a three-pointer before that, but if Anunoby's the guy kind of making the winning plays at the end of the game while Brunson is struggling to make shots, Anunoby has a real solid chance to win. So I think that Brunson does win MVP, but plus 250 is not the worst number in the world. I don't know if I'm betting Anunoby at that number, but I also don't know if I can tell you that's a bad idea.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. And also, a lot of these, like a lot of times, you'll see these markets up live during the game. So maybe a good angle to live bet the game is instead of looking at the game itself, looking in the MVP market. I guess so. Just to clarify things for the MVP, my mind is solely like understands hockey MVP voting rules. The Conn Smythe, it's a 1, 2, 3 system. It's a point system. With NBA MVP, it's just one name. That's it. No point system. No 1, 2, 3. Just one name.
I think it is a top 3. I think they do vote for a top 3. I'm not 100% sure of that, but again, I know it's about 12 guys who are in the arena. They have 30 minutes, and that's kind of how it happens.
Yeah, so it's going to be a lot of emotion in terms of who they're going to be voting for late in that game. Right now, if we're looking ahead to Game 5 on Saturday, Spurs minus 5.5, minus 108. Totals at 216.5. Nothing's budged for these games. It's kind of been the same price home for the Spurs for the last it's opening up as the same price in this game as it was for the first 2 games. Anything you like in terms of bets on this game, or are you kind of just passive staying away? You have your series bets, you have your awards bets, and you're just kind of letting those ride out.
We're just going to keep betting Knicks first quarter. I'm sorry, Spurs first quarter. Spurs first quarter, folks. Not Knicks first quarter.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I was a little distracted thinking about some of my Knicks bets that I have that I like. But Spurs first quarter, it is cashed every game in this series. I expect it to continue to cash again. San Antonio has been one of the best first quarter teams all season. That is carried over into the postseason, where the Knicks have been slow starters every single game. My numbers make this Spurs minus 3 in the first quarter, honestly close to 3.5. So our friends over at FanDuel have minus 2.5, minus 102. That is definitely a bet. If you're looking at minus 1.5 with a little more juice, say minus 15, minus 120, that's okay too. But the Spurs are just a great team. And again, I have them 3-point favorites. So 4 considering, all the qualitative angles of, the Knicks don't want to go down 4-1. And I know I'm kind of making a joke of it, but I'm sorry, the Spurs don't want to go down 4-1. Jesus, I'm all backwards here. But Spurs first quarter, folks, just keep betting that. I haven't bet the under yet on the total, but I'm surprised it's 216.5. I'm surprised this is basically the same total we closed with last game, because for those who don't know, generally throughout NBA series, especially when you get to games 5, 6, 7, the pace starts to really slow down. And, the pace we saw last night wasn't super fast, but I expect it to be a little bit slower. And the shooting was solid last night. I mean, 46% from the field for the Knicks, 42% for the Spurs, but they were 40%. From 3 in that game there. So I think, again, we could see a little negative shooting regression, the pace slow down a bit, and I haven't bet it yet, but under is probably going to be a play for me. Spurs first quarter is definitely a play.
Spurs first quarter, you can get the 2.5 at minus 106 available on FanDuel. And the under, we talked about it yesterday with Kirk in last night's game. He liked that under 216.5 as well at minus 110. Shocking, because sort of the way that he sort of played it out or laid it out for us is kind of what we saw happening, and no adjustment here. Maybe we'll get an adjustment closer to game, but usually these openers are pretty solid and not much movement.
They have been solid, yeah.
Yeah. All right, Noops, appreciate you joining the show. Any final thoughts before you head out here? Do you have any series bets for us? Or are you just, again, letting things ride and enjoying the show?
Just going to continue to enjoy kind of the games. There's a couple negative correlated parlays I've been doing for some of these games. So wait a little closer to game time. But if you get a chance to bet Wemby 30-plus points parlayed with Wemby under 2.5 threes, that's a great bet. So slide that one in there once we get a little closer to game time and we see those markets open up some more.
I love that. Negatively correlated parlays are like my favorite thing. I don't know if you've heard earlier, but on my goal this World Cup, FanDuel has a super sub thing where if a player gets subbed out, the player that's subbed in will count towards their player prop. So there's a possibility where you can get 2 goal scorers when a team only scores 1 goal. So that's the unicorn bet for me. I'm going to try and hit that, but probably won't happen. It'd be a rough ride. Yeah. Anyways, love the negative correlation there. Noops, appreciate you joining the show and sharing all your knowledge with us here today. Enjoy the finals, and hopefully, I know it might be hard for us, hopefully we can bring Karl-Anthony Towns home as the MVP.
It sure would be nice, Jason. Best of luck until we talk again, bud.
Appreciate you, Noops. Go follow Noops on Twitter, _Noops. Link is in the description down below. That's it. That wraps up today's show. I saw you guys complaining a little bit in the chat about no NHL. Well, guess what? Here we go with some NHL action. It's the same damn game, the same thing we're talking about, like we talked about all series. Rob came on here, and I'm going to have to agree with him. He said it's usually dog or pass with him for these games, and the Vegas Golden Knights are being given to you at plus 132 on the money line, and we are going to take that. This series should be over and done with, but it is not. The bounces have gone Carolina's way, and I'm going to take the Vegas Golden Knights, who I feel like have been just as good as the Carolina Hurricanes in this game, plus 132 on the money line here. There's no better way to play it than that plus 132 money line bet. I just don't really see how the discrepancy between these two teams, which is currently being offered on FanDuel, I just don't see the game being like this. It should be closer to a plus 100 both sides coin flip game. But that's not what we're getting. So we're going to be betting that. Plus, I want to take a look at these markets. I'm curious if the handoff markets might have moved. If we can add Jacob Slavin to this. I'm just going to take a look before we head out here. Oh, I think they might have taken this off the board. Anyways, Jacob Slavin, moved aggressively. So if you're able to get some Jacob Slavin first to receive the cup, that was a good bet. And then also Slavin first and Taylor Hall second. Wow, moved to plus 290. We got great bets in there. If you listen to the segment with Rob, I believe it was 2 days ago. No futures bets for us. Not the NHL I was hoping for. I'm not sure what he means by that. Is there another NHL?
I don't know.
All right, well.
There's only one that I know of.
There we go. Vegas plus money, plus 132 on the money line is what we're going to take. Also, if you missed out on yesterday's show, Jose Quinones, anytime goal scorer. I like this guy. I'm a big fan. Saw nothing in the we'll do air quotes model for the South Korea Czechia game for goal scorers. So we're laying off that. And we're going to stick with just the one goal scorer bet for the Mexico and South Africa game. If the model looks good, we might be betting them later. These goal scorer bets later on in our handicapping contest, and maybe I'll post them in the Discord as well. You guys let me know. Oh, did I say Jose? I meant Julian. My bad. I see. Like I don't even know these guys' names, but I'm the ex. It's all right. You don't need to know their names. The model just spits it out and spits it at you. There we go. Thanks, Connor. Appreciate you. Anyways, do us a huge favor. If you enjoyed the show, smash the like button. Goes a long way here on the channel. If you're new to the channel as well, hit the subscribe button. I will be away tomorrow. I'll be missing you guys, but I'll be available in the Discord and most likely in the chat as well. We got to be in the Discord live talking these games because there's going to be, I'm telling you, there's going to be angles. There's going to be angles for the water breaks. We got to keep an eye on all those things. And we'll be sharing that all that stuff in the Discord. And yeah, that's it. That wraps up today's show. Shout out Gaffa. Shout out Noops. Shout out Mike. Shout out you guys for tuning in throughout the entire show. This has been... What are we missing here? Oh, I have to...
Well, Circle Back has a live show. I know you're like in vacation mode already, but Circle Back, live show with Jacob, 4 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, and honestly, I should plug this. People know about it by now. 4 p.m. Eastern time, live show on Thursday. But this is actually like a really good lineup. Thon Mister, who you've seen on the show here before, did an interview with Circle Back on the Circles Off YouTube channel a couple weeks ago. Thon Mister, Isaac, and Shipper. Kanish is finally out. Thank God. That's actually a very stacked cast. And also, if you haven't listened to it, Bets and Picks MMA on Twitter, a.k.a. Andrew Gombis.
It's going to be a
Circles Off interview live, or not live, but it's on the Circle. The video is live on the Circles Off YouTube channel, 5 p.m. Eastern time. Thought it was 4.
Yeah.
Anyways, go.
It's gonna be a banger episode though with Jacob and
It's-
Jeff. Oof, they do. Don't forget this as well.
Yeah. Forward progress videos, 32 picks, 32 teams, 32 days. Is that what we're doing?
Yes.
There we go. All right. A lot of stuff to promo here. Easiest thing to do is smash the subscribe button on all these channels and turn on the notification bell to be notified anytime these videos go live. Oh, the like button turned into a soccer ball. That's pretty sick. That is pretty sick. I don't know if that's true, but I trust Amber. She's always honest when it comes to this stuff. This is not engagement bait. This is a real thing. So if you want to see a soccer ball, go smash the like button. Appreciate you guys. That's it. That wraps up today's show. This has been the Thursday, June 11th edition of the Hammer Daily here on the Hammer Betting Network, presented by our good friends over at FanDuel. We'll see you guys right here tomorrow.